Welcome to the Voyages Fantastiques mini Cecco album walkthrough. The purpose of this walkthrough is to give you an idea of the book we're going to be building in May when we get together. I'm going to show you some elements that I'm able to provide for you, and then a few elements I'm hoping you can find in your own stash. The main paper components that you're going to want for this are the 8x8 Stamperia Voyages Fantastiques paper pad, and I used some of their rub-ons, which I'll show you in the book as I go through. The other item that I used for the cover was one 12x12 sheet of paper. This is kind of the portion that gets used, and I'll show you when I open the book up. If you are unable to find this in open stock, it is available in the 12x12 paper pack, but there's by no means like any need for you to go out and buy an entire paper pack just for one piece of paper. Grab something that you have in your stash already that you think will go with this theme. And that kind of stands for the entire project. If you would prefer to use a different line from the Voyages Fantastiques, you are welcome to do that. As I flip through, I'm just going to take a little bit of the book apart and I will explain somewhat of what we've done. So this is the focal element that I used because our cover is made from this box of spaghetti number 12. I just happened to turn it this way and we cut it to our album size, which is, I believe, 6 1/4 inches tall by 3 1/4 inches wide in the end. This little element here needed something to cover it with, and so I put on a gear, and then I had some chipboard from a Stamperia pack that I painted and put glossy accents on. Unfortunately, I don't have any more of these to share, so we'll have to figure something out together from your stash to use just to cover up that little kind of circular element there. I think we can get creative and do many things. This clip I'm able to provide. That's going to be in something I'm going to call your augmentables. And then as I go through, I'll try to point out the ones that I have been able to source for you. These two elements are just from the paper pack. There are some fussy cutting sheets, and I punched this one out. I chose to add some glossy accent elements, which you can do beforehand or you can add after class. The ribbons, I'm going to try to source for you. I feel like I have enough ribbon that I can do that. These beaded elements, I don't know where I got this from. This is from a Tim Holtz ideology set that's long since retired. I may be able to provide this for you, but if you have something similar in your stash, I would encourage you to use it. This little clip, I do actually have extras for everybody, so I'll be able to provide that for everyone. For the silk sash, there is a wonderful Fabric Frenzy sale that I'm going to next weekend, and I'm hoping I'll be able to source something similar to this. However, if I'm unable to do that, I do have already available in my stash a few options. This is 100% silk. It's more of like a China silk than a sari silk, but I think it'll serve our purposes. And the color scheme goes quite well. We could also play around with seeing how the silk takes color. That's one option. The other one is more of a sateen finish. It has, I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but it has a few different tones in it, which I think go quite well with our overall color scheme. This is also an option for you. If there's one that you prefer, just let me know and I can bring them when we get together for class. These clasps here, I have some options for you, also in your augmentables. These are from a Stampin' Up set. I believe that's also retired. I have been able to get a couple of sets off of Marketplace. So these are the different tones, and then there are the rounded ones and the more triangular shapes. I think we can make these work for ourselves. I have some brads that we use to attach them, just not handy tonight. I also have, in lieu of this wooden gear, I do have some metal gears that we can play with as far as making our focal element, which will be different from the original cover. We're going to keep the window as part of the element. Just before I open up, I'm going to point out I did use some Tim Holtz embossing glaze on a few elements of the cover. I like the addition of them. I used a Versamark pen and then heat set them. I did that after I added the cover, but I would recommend you do it before, partially because I ended up warping the plastic a little when I was heat setting this. All right, the loop pin I'm able to provide for you. This is a piece of ephemera that was in the original ephemera pack. I have the reprinted or re-released ephemera pack on order, and so I don't know what the difference is between them, and I'm unable to provide a comparison at this time. This is a file folder that I played with and embossed and inked. I'm able to provide those to you, so you'll get file folders for 5, all 5 of your tabs provided in your kit from me. This inside page was a page from, I believe, the 8x8 paper pack that I liked, and I had just folded over the inside of the cover. You'll notice there's no, it's a no-sew cover closure. And then I've used elements from the 8x8 paper pack. If you can try before class, if you're using this one, the cover page, and this is glued a little bit together, has these cutouts. So if you can try to cut out the ones that you think you're going to use, that would be helpful. I also cut out and used many of the little cards in the 8x8 pack, so you'll want to have those handy. And the back are also other ephemera pieces that you can choose to use. This is where those rounded kind of clocks and gears come from, and we use several of these in our book. Otherwise, we will be using the papers as paper layouts, and the double-sided tags are something I would encourage you to fussy cut out before we get together. You can use a trimmer with that. This piece of paper is the same pattern as the cover, but it's a little too small to cover the entire width and binding of our book. If you wanted to, you could make some adjustments and make it work. I will provide you with a few of these additional pages if you want them to be die cut like this. That was my plan. If you prefer not to have them die cut, just let me know, and I'll provide it without that work completed. I used a few of the rub-on packages or packets. I don't believe the originals are currently available. This is what the original looks like. If you're wanting to use some rub-ons and you can't find any of these, one option for you is to purchase this book. It is a little on the pricey side. I believe it was around like $32 or $33. What you're getting are some of the older images as well as some of the newer rub-on images from the re-released line. So it just depends on what you're wanting to use. There are tons of rub-ons in this package. There will be far more than what we'll be able to use for the entire book. As I said with my original, this was the one that I was able to use when I was doing the original design. If you're not wanting to get an ephemera pack, this is an option for you as far as a product that you can purchase. It's not necessary to have this, but it is very helpful. In addition to this, I do feel that you will still need to have the 8x8 paper pack if you're wanting a lot of the page elements to be decorated, but you can see if you can make some alterations. I would say that the paper in this is thicker than the paper in the 8x8 pack. This pack has a decent size orientation. I kind of wish they had done some landscaped elements, but they don't. It has several pages of stickers. Those are stickers. These are double-sided laser cuts that you just have to pop out. Same as these with your tags, which are very helpful. And then some additional papers, another sticker sheet, followed by, I think that makes our third or fourth sticker sheet, and then some cards, which could substitute for some of the cards within the 8x8 pack, and some more papers that you can possibly use for your pages, and then some more laser cut elements that are all beautifully double-sided, and another laser cut page. These cards will be a little too big for our purposes, as well as these ones here. And then you have a page of kind of patinaed dictionary pages, and then that's what's all contained in this book. It is also, I believe, around $35. The goal is to use things in your stash, not to necessarily have to go out and kind of buy all of the things. I've used a variety of stencils and stamps that have some inspirational sayings on them and also go along with the steampunk feel. These paper clips are Tim Holtz Ideology, and I've been unable to source more for us. This is one of the pages from the 8x8, which I've glossy accented on after putting it together, and then just some more ephemera from the ephemera pack. The goal of this walkthrough is for you to get a better idea of what we're doing. I know some of you have seen this little book in our get-togethers when I've brought them in for everyone to look, but I had heard some feedback that it just didn't seem to be sufficient amount of time, so that's why I'm doing the walkthrough for you. This is a Tim Holtz embossing folder. I'm happy to emboss these for you if you want me to. If there are embossing folders you'd prefer to use from your own collection, please let me know. I'm happy to leave them unembossed for you to do on your own. Here are just a few kind of belly banded elements that I did for the decorating. If there's anything in the decoration that you'd prefer not to do, as always, that is certainly your option. I've done some acetate windows, which I can provide you the windows like the acetate for to create. This is from the original line. There was a chipboard line that was created. I've only used one element though, so I didn't put it on the list. If you're curious about what it looks like, it has the train and then a few other pieces. That kind of gives you a better idea of what it looks like there. Just because I only used the one piece, I didn't suggest that you needed to purchase it. There are some other elements from the collection that I didn't use, and if you happened to have them, you are welcome to substitute them for anything in here or to add anything here. I've just been adding some ribbon and trying to give some contrasting colors. This is another paper clip. I unfortunately haven't been able to find any for. We did just do some playing around with making some paper clips when we got together yesterday. So if some of you want to create some of them for this project, I think that would be a wonderful idea. There's some more acetate pockets, which again I will provide for you. This is just a fun little kind of brad on the tab. This paper clip I also have been unable to locate any additionals for sale. I did go ahead and order some of those bobby pins that we had reviewed from Amazon, and I'm hoping that they will arrive in time for class. We can play around with them as a decent substitute for that type of paper clip. All right, we've just kind of filled in some pockets, and I've played with some of the pages. This one is quite busy, I would say, compared to most of my projects. So you can decorate as much or as little as you would desire. If there are pages in the book that were not included in the paper pack, like this page back here, that I've gone ahead and stamped for you. I will be providing that for you in your kit. I did use that page that I had pointed out from the 8x8 pack earlier, and I did some distressing with this tab instead of doing embossing on it. And I do have this ledger paper for the pullouts so that everyone will have an opportunity to create this should they wish to. The way that the book has been constructed was a new to me design that I just sort of figured out as I went. I'm hoping that you guys will find learning how to do this to be beneficial in the end. I found it to be quite fun. I really enjoyed using the rub-ons in this, and I've used some, this was just pencil crayon to anchor the train down. I find it's a flat way to decorate and add texture to your project without adding bulk. All right, and I put a little pocket kind of on the back. I have this die set. This would have been fussy cut out of one of the pieces of paper that I had, and then just some elements and ephemera there. I can die cut those for everyone so that you'll have the ability to have them when we are making our book. All right, you have seen the back of the book already. I showed it kind of briefly. It's rather plain, which is why I added the element here of the embossing powder. If you kind of look closely, the way that the binding is done is through taking each signature and essentially sewing them into the different tabs after the tabs are scored and folded, and then they are secured using double-sided tape to the back of the initial folder, which is then secured again with another layer of double-sided tape to the spine of the journal. So that is our little journal. I will show you, I have a little box of some additionals to augment for our decorating that I have kind of cobbled together from my supply. If you had wanted an alternative paper, there is the option of getting the background papers. These are quite plain, so they're open for a lot of decorating, which is nice. And I like that the size is consistent with the perspective that we're doing, just given the size of the journal that we're creating. Some of the pages have some elements on them that are still quite lovely. You could fussy cut these out if you were so inclined. It's not my most favorite thing to do, but I did like this. This is similar to what you'll see in the junk journal book. It's just the writing is a little bit smaller on those, so they've resized them with the re-release. There is also available, you can tell I went a little bit crazy because I love this line, some rice paper elements, which we don't use, but what you could decide if you wanted to. So the pieces of paper that I'm thinking of augmenting for you, I found this recently, and I really like how the faded blue works with the teal in here. So I'll likely include a page or two of that. And you will also be receiving from this ledger that I was able to source some ledger paper for that pullouts. I will likely just provide you with a few sheets, and then you can, we'll fold them together in class and you'll have some extras for that. If you have some Stamperia lines that aren't Voyages Fantastiques, I would encourage you to use them in lieu of going out and making another purchase. One line that I think would go well is this Sir Vagabond Aviator. This is the 8x8 paper pack. And then here are some wood chip elements from that line as well. The other thing that I was able to get but didn't really use a lot of was the chipboard pieces that they had originally released. In the original release, there's also another piece of rice paper if you're wanting to use rice paper, particularly on the file folders, as they're stiff enough to be able to withstand the liquid volume from the glue. And then if you were so inclined for your cover, these I believe are still available at R&R Scrapbooking. I didn't incorporate them into the original, but the thicker element of these gears and clocks and even some of the hot air balloons could go very well on the cover. The sizing is fairly consistent for the smaller kind of elements if you had wanted to use those. If a few of you want to get together and split one, you could, each of you could take, you know, kind of an element, and then that would be more cost effective in the end. And the goal is to enjoy our time together and create something new, not necessarily spend a whole bunch of money. So options that I have here, I have clips, I have some wooden numbered charms that we could potentially decorate and steampunk up and use. I have some of these beaded elements which I felt would go well. I have a few stickers and some Tim Holtz quote chips. I also have some numbered brads that I think we could use. I have these clocks which I think will go rather well on our windows if we just kind of have a look ahead of time to see how we like those. Those we could paint or stain in order to fit in with the aesthetic that we're looking for. In addition, I do have some decorative brad options for us, as well as the loop pins, some brassy kind of brads that we can add if wanted. I also have these copper brads that we can add. There's a lot of mixed metal elements here. And then I have some numbered badges. Some of them have been played with already, but I felt that the color kind of went with the color scheme that we're going for. And I have some uncolored or unadorned options for you if you would prefer. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of what our plan is overall. I believe we're planning on 4 hours of creative time together. My goal would be to provide you with an understanding of at least how to do the binding. The way that I construct my books is I do all of my cutting and my putting together of signatures on my decorating prior to me actually sewing them in, because I generally don't like this big, thick kind of alligator mouth look. And with this closure, I'm able to kind of cheat and have it look like I didn't overdo it in this particular case. So there we go. Any questions, feel free to email me. Any comments, you can also email me about those. And I'm looking forward to teaching you and spending time with you guys in May to go through this. So thank you very much for your time.